Alrighty everyone, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are looking at a build revolving around the brand new hunter exotic, Mask of Fealty. Now, as I said in my last video, stasis is very strong this season, so there's going to be a lot of stasis builds that I look at this season. So let's continue that trend now. Starting out with our abilities. First up we have our super, Silence and Squall. A great one-off super for continuous slow, freeze, and shatter on adds or bosses. For our dodge, we're going to be using Gambler's Dodge. Now this is going to refund our melee energy whenever we dodge near enemies. You have your choice of jump, and our melee, Withering Blade. Now this is a really good melee that applies slow to targets it hits. You also get 2 charges at base. And this is obviously what our build is going to be focused around. But for our grenade, we have on Duskfield right now. Now I have on Duskfield because I like the area of slow and freeze, but you can also use Glacier Grenade if you want. And next up we have our aspects, starting out with Winter's Shroud. Dodging slows nearby targets. Slowing targets briefly increases your class ability regeneration. So this aspect seemingly doesn't do a whole lot, but it's nice as a defensive tool for when adds get too close to you. But also the passive benefit of gaining class ability energy by slowing targets is great for getting more dodges that will grant you a melee charge when done near enemies. And our next aspect is going to be Grim Harvest. Defeating slowed or frozen targets creates stasis shards. These shards grant melee energy when picked up by you or your allies. While Grim Harvest is equipped, picking up stasis shards grants stacks of frost armor. So this aspect is a staple of just about every stasis build, as it's needed for our source of stasis shards and damage resistance via frost armor. These stasis shards will also grant us melee energy on pickup. And now let's go over to our fragments, starting out with Whisper of Fissures. Increases the damage and size of the burst of stasis when you destroy a stasis crystal or defeat a frozen target. Now this fragment is very useful in stasis builds as it just gives a flat buff to the damage radius and damage itself of these shatters. Next up, we have Whisper of Rime. Your frost armor has increased duration and maximum stack count. So this is very helpful as it increases our uptime of frost armor and increases the amount of stacks we can have from 5 stacks to 8 stacks. Each stack of frost armor gives about 4.5% damage reduction. So at max stacks, this is a 36% damage reduction for all incoming damage. Next up, we have Whisper of Conduction. Nearby stasis shards track to your position. Now this fragment is very useful as it passively picks up nearby stasis shards for you, giving you melee energy and frost armor. It also gives us a very generous plus 10 to resilience and plus 10 to intellect. And next up, we have Whisper of Hunger. Increases the melee energy gained from picking up stasis shards. Now this increase in melee energy from these shards is very noticeable and helps us get a lot more melees off. However, it does take away minus 20 from our strength stat, but it's definitely worth it. And rounding it out, we have Whisper of Rending. Primary ammo weapons do increased damage to stasis crystals and frozen targets. Now this is very nice as it allows our primary weapon to one-shot destroy stasis crystals, as well as more damage dealt to frozen combatants. Now let's go over to our exotics, starting out with Cryothesia 77k. Our intrinsic LN2 burst reads, hold reload after a final blow to enable a charged shot. Our trait, Liquid Cooling, reads, direct hits by a charged shot instantly freeze the target. Indirect hits freeze combatants and slow opposing guardians. And our catalyst reads, shattering a frozen target refills this weapon's magazine from reserves. So this weapon is very useful as it is able to shoot a freezing laser shot doing an AoE of freeze and slow. The freeze effects synergize with other aspects and fragments, making this weapon very useful for setting up targets for us. And for our next exotic, we're going to be using Mask of Fealty. Our trait, Null Factor, reads, Withering Blade hits and bounces create a small stasis crystal and refund a portion of melee energy. Using Withering Blade to shatter crystals or frozen targets releases a spread of Withering Blades. Now this exotic gives a lot more utility to our Withering Blade melee, now creating stasis crystals and granting melee energy back on hits and bounces. But shattering crystals and frozen targets creates even more Withering Blades, which is very good for ad clear, as these blades are just going to shoot around the room, either making a crystal or coming into contact with another enemy. Now let's look at some of our mods, starting out with our artifact ones. We have Crystalline Converter. Gather stasis shards to gain stacks of crystalline converters. Your next powered stasis melee hit creates stasis crystals equal to the number of stacks you have. Our next one, Hail the Storm, reads, shattering stasis crystals releases shards of ice that damage and slow targets. We have Brain Freeze. Frozen combatants become surrounded by chilling fog, which slows combatants that aren't already. And Serve Cold, which picking up a stasis shard grants you class ability energy. As for our armor mods, we're going to be using two types, and those are melee focused ones and stasis focused ones. Ones like hands-on and heavy-handed, and for our stasis ones, harmonic siphon and stasis surge. So, for our gameplay loop, essentially what we can do is we open with a Cryothesia kill to get our freezing laser and freeze a large group of targets. Then we throw our withering blade at them, which will refund us some melee energy, as well as spawning in more withering blades that will create little stasis crystals and defeat even more targets. Defeating these slowed or frozen targets will create stasis shards that will track to you, and upon picking them up, will grant up to 8 stacks of frost armor, as well as granting both melee and class ability energy. Your dodge will slow enemies and refund your melee, and slowing enemies in general will give you class ability regeneration. And all this contributes to throwing as many melees as possible to kill as many adds as possible. So that's the build, but before we get to the showcase, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We've got links to the Discord and to the Twitch down below. And with all that out of the way, let's go right to the showcase. Alrighty, let's see what this build can do. It's pretty fun, because all you have to do afterwards is, even if you don't kill them with the shurikens, they leave behind stasis crystals, and you just use your Cryothesia to break them. And kill him before he has a chance to go into barrier mode, because I don't have an anti-barrier weapon. Oh, demolitionist. Don't like those. This is where we use our super. Oh, if you swap off the gun, then you lose your freaking charge shot. Oh, well, don't do that. We'll see if it still does it if you get a kill and then swap off before reloading. So you can get a kill and swap off, but once you reload this weapon for the special reload, don't swap off that before using it. I use super to make this one go by a bit faster. Oh, shit. I heard the Cabal pod behind me, and then by the time I turned around, it was already dropping on me. What the heck? Instant freeze on all that. Right. Ooh. Do that to live. Whoops. I haven't died yet. That's probably because of the frost armor. It's keeping me alive. Who's the boss this time around? Let's find out. Subjugator. Oh, there's like beams of light around. Let's pick these up. Ether boost. Oh, it's this one. Yeah. Oh, here they come. Yeah, just a lot of shurikens in there. Dude, look at the battlefield, bro. That's so cool. Guys, this is legal, I swear. Almost got him. There we go. Alrighty. That was the build. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you next time. Stay alrighty.